Hello, this is Andrew. Today we're going to talk about the Giant S-X2 disc wheel set. This is the wheel set that came with my Giant Revolt 2 project bike. And when I was researching the bike, one of the things that I found frustrating is that nobody did a review or even provided like real information, even on the forums, on this wheel set. So this is an attempt to fix that. To be clear, I understand why nobody put the time in. This is a stock wheel set. It comes with, at least in my case, the bottom end of the Revolt lineup. And there's not a lot of incentive to put the time in to do what we're going to do now. But let's fix that. Starting with the good stuff, they roll super smooth. This is actually consistent with the other set of Giant wheels that I have, the ones that came with the Defy. They just roll really, really nice. And despite some of the other shortcomings that we'll talk about in a bit, I don't think it's a massive hardship to ride these wheels because they roll so nice. And of course, the price is right. They come with the bike. And you're not going to get great value for money if you sold them to upgrade or whatever. So I would recommend keeping them, which was my plan all along, just to kind of keep them for winter riding or riding around town, that kind of thing. But if you can't upgrade right away or you don't want to upgrade at all, it's not a massive hardship to just keep riding the wheels. They are pretty heavy though, not unlike most stock wheel sets, especially at the price point of the bike. The front wheel comes in at 1005.1 and the rear comes in at 1139.6 grams, making the total wheel set over 2.1 kilos, which again isn't horrible for a stock wheel set, especially at this price point, but you can do a lot better, and it's probably one of the best places to spend some money to upgrade the bike, even if you're not going to do a complete group set change like I did. The wheels are sized either for road tires or gravel tires, with an external width of 24.2 millimeters, an internal width of 19 millimeters, and a depth of 24 millimeters. Obviously not going to be the most aero, but you can use that in a wide array of different riding situations, and I've tried it with a few different tires already, and it works pretty well. And because of their construction and their weight, you can be pretty confident that they're going to be relatively bulletproof. That's not to say that they're perfect, though. I noticed something that isn't so great, and we're going to see a video here showing that the free hub wobbles when you're coasting. So this video shows two things. The first is that the free hub wobbles, and fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, it isn't isolated just to this Giant wheel set. The Defy wheel set also does this. Now, I don't know how much of a problem this is. I don't know whether it actually translates to any performance degradation on the road, but I do find it a little bit troubling. And I also checked some of the nicer wheel sets that I have, and they don't do this. So, take it for what it's worth. It's just highlighting this problem. The other thing that it does, or this video shows, is how quiet the free hub is. And obviously it's not so quiet in the video, but the microphone was really close. You can barely hear it. I kind of like loud free hubs, so that's just something, throwing it out there for, if you like it, great. If you don't like it, you might want to take some grease out. The next thing is to discuss the tubeless performance, and for that I just kind of made a video here that demonstrates how that works.
So I mentioned in the first video about the Giant Revolt 2 that I had the shop that I bought it at set up the wheels with a tube inside. And I was curious what it would be like, or how hard it would be to set it up using the tubeless system that Giant provides. And they provide two of these valves with the rectangular profile versus the cone profile. And these are supposed to be better. So I'm actually expecting it to work pretty well, especially because they provide sealant and they set the bike up that way or they suggest to the dealers that they set the bike up that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and because that's an important and critical part of how well the wheel and tire combo works. All right, so as you can see here, putting the valve in was pretty easy. And it comes pre-taped. I should have mentioned that. It comes pre-taped. I examined the wheels and I didn't see a directional indication, but from the tread it looks like it's supposed to roll this way. So that's how I'm going to set it up. So that went on really easy, at least in comparison to a GP5000, which is the tire that I've been using on my other wheel set, my road wheel set. So let's grab the air compressor and see if we can seat it. So that did not go as well as I'd hoped. So I'm going to try to make sure that the bead is centered properly. All right, it is centered. Let's pop that back on there. Valve core removal tool found. Let's pull this guy out. And just connect this directly and see what happens. Oh, that's what will go on there. Still nothing. Okay, so one more trick. I have this. I'm just going to try to stick that right in there. I put a little bit of electrical tape around here to hopefully make a little bit of a better seal than it would be if there weren't that, or it was metal on metal. It got pretty loud there, so I was able to get it to seat with the blast a bunch of air in there with this tool. This is a great tool for working with the bike tires and things, but the amount of air that you can push through it isn't what the compressor can do. It has some kind of limiter on it, which is most of the time is fine, but in this case it's a little bit frustrating. So it's seated. I put the valve on. I'm going to put the valve back in there while the compressor is filling back up again. And I also decided, let's see if we have the same experience with this guy as we did with the front wheel, as we did with the rear wheel. Down. All right, let's call it 67. Which is probably more than you would use on a gravel ride, but the rating for these tires is, you probably can't see that, but it's 50 to 75, so it's well within the acceptable range for the tire. Make sure I just center this in the rim. No, I know, I can hear right away that it's not going to work. So let's go back to our other method. Okay, so we had to use the same method, which was just to blast a ton of air in there in order to get it to seat. This one up to 67, and we'll let it sit overnight as well. So it is morning now, and I've come back to check the pressure for the wheel set and wheels that came with the Giant Revolt. I've got the compressor cranked up. I'm going to check it using the this digital pressure gauge. Okay, so it says 57, hopefully you can see that, which, considering we put 67 with no sealant in there, actually isn't that bad. I'm just going to give this a touch to make sure that is the actual pressure. Yeah, so it lost 10 pounds overnight with no sealant, which I think is actually pretty good. Considering. I'm going to check the other one here before we call it a total success. So this one I had to touch it to get a reading. It says 61.0 psi. So it's probably about the same. So some, call it 9-10 pounds of pressure, no big difference there. But that, again, is no sealant. So if you added sealant in there, you would see significantly better results. But the fact that it works that well without sealant is actually a good sign. Maybe Giant, well, obviously Giant has the confidence to sell their wheel sets in a tubeless setup. And the dealer that I bought the bike from, he was telling me that it's not uncommon to just check the sealant once a year with the sealant that he recommends, not the stuff that comes with the bike. And to be able to do that is pretty amazing. Anyway, I think that's good. We'll call that a pass. Obviously, the experience might be a little bit different with different tires, but I'm still sorting that bit out on the bike. So
This got a little bit longer than I had planned it to be, but I wanted to fully document my experience and hopefully the general experience of the Giant S-X2 disc wheel set. Because it just doesn't exist out in the internets. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like it, feel free to hit the dislike button, but if you could tell me down in the comments why you disliked it so that we can figure out how to do things better. And any other comments are also welcome, and questions as well. I'll try to get them to them as soon as I can. Cheers.